Have you ever failed at something you tried really hard at? You practiced, you studied, you trained, and yet when push came to shove, you just couldn't cut it. Do you remember that feeling? How it burned down into your core, that you were, in that moment, objectively not good enough. We all avoid that feeling like the plague, for a variety of reasons. Chief among them is that it just doesn't feel good to fail. It's this realization that hits you, that you're not good enough, you're not special, especially since we're made to believe we're special from the moment we're born. Because to our parents, we're the most special things in the world. It's a cruel reality to realize you're not. The fear of failure does more than remind you of your parents' lies. It also serves to protect you from a more existential failure than losing the relay race in kindergarten. We fear failure because failing to make more of yourself is the worst blunder possible, evolutionarily speaking. In nature, if you manage to be so bad at something that you can't mate with anyone, your genetic code won't carry on to the next generation. Then, genetically, it'll be like you never existed. You would be pointless. This obviously isn't the case in society. There is an individualistic purpose to your existence. You have positive impacts on those around you, regardless of if you have kids or not. But this explains why we fear failing so much. Reproducing is the entire point of being alive, again, evolutionarily speaking. So of course, we'd psychologically dissuade ourselves from allowing ourselves to fail. Or at the very least, allowing ourselves to perpetually fail. See, it's not just about avoiding failure as much as it's about learning from our failures and mistakes. Becoming a better person through trial and error. A scrape from a tiger? Avoid them. Get close enough to a mammoth and it crushes you? Make spears. So on and so forth. We learn from our mistakes and the mistakes of others to better prepare ourselves for the future. We learn. Above all else, we learn. So of course I'm afraid of failing. Failing to support and sustain myself, to provide for the person I care about, who I know will one day depend on me one way or another. It terrifies me, the idea of the future. When I think about it, I feel extremely unprepared. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have a job. YouTube likely isn't going to give me enough money to support myself. So what do I do? Unfortunately, I found myself in an interesting predicament. See, I found myself trapped between two oxymoronic and opposing fears. I am terrified of failing, but I'm also afraid of succeeding. Because I've always placed myself firmly between the two. I don't always lose, but I seldom win either. I'm terrified of fucking up, but I'm also uncomfortable with the unknown idea of actually doing something productive with myself. Of getting a regular job, suffering through that, achieving what most call success. It just scares me. I'm sure I'm not alone in this feeling. I don't think I'm alone in any feeling I've expressed on this channel. So maybe that can be something to be taken away from this. That the small successes have power too. The little victory of making sure someone out there watching this video right now doesn't feel alone. The hope that I've made someone feel just a little bit better about their place in the world, in their own life. Imagining that and the work I put into this channel and my own life, the large successes don't seem as scary. Even viewing each video as its own little success, not whatever end goal I envision for myself, is comforting. Even still, the fear of failure looms large. It seems to overshadow any success because what if that victory is the last? What if none of these triumphs are triumphs at all and I'm just lying to myself? Well, I also know that someday, looking back on all this worrying and fear, it'll seem ridiculous, since I'll have succeeded in some way or another, since all of this struggle and turmoil won't seem as hard then. I'll think back on this moment and all this time trying to get this channel off the ground, and it'll seem trivial. So I guess in this moment, during this time, I have to remember that I'm not as stuck as I think I am, that failure isn't something to be crippled over, and success isn't something to feel discomfort about, that they're both gonna happen, likely in non-linear fashions, and that'll be okay. Because growth isn't linear, success isn't linear, failure is only a temporary guarantee, because if you play your cards right, and have enough faith in yourself, after you fail, you're guaranteed to succeed. You just have to stick around long enough to get there. Also, however old you are now, you're going to be old in what feels like a few minutes. Just do what you think is right, and do your best to do right by those you love. Everything else will just weigh you down. So what if you fail a test, or your YouTube channel doesn't take off in the first year, or whatever? There's still the next test, there's still the next year. There's always a second try, usually. It's those moments where you don't get a second try that you need to prepare for, that you need to hold yourself to a higher standard, that you need to believe in yourself. I think that's my problem. I don't think I really believe in myself. Not really. I know I'm a good writer, I know my videos are fairly good, I know I'm worthy of at least some recognition, but some part of me is still saying, no.
No. Pendulum must swing both ways. High to low, up to down, happy to sad. When equivalence grants the latter, I'll stake my claim. You cannot avoid me anymore. You cannot ignore me anymore. You think I am gone. You forgot about me. But I'm right here, waiting. I am the shadow. I am the shadow. I am the shadow.
I guess I'll have to work on that.